Everybody sells you pretty much the same picture when it comes to retirement. They're going to tell you all about the golf courses, the cruises, laying on the beach somewhere with a drink in your hand with that little umbrella in it. And look, folks, none of that is wrong. If that's what you want, go for it. But that's not what I am actually looking forward to when I consider retirement. The thing I'm really after doesn't show up in any of the retirement brochures, and it took me a while to even figure out how to put this into words. So let's talk about what I am actually looking forward to when I retire. You see, I'm self-employed. I work alone most days. I don't have a boss. I don't have an office to go to. Well, I do have an office, but it's at my house. I don't have anyone that I have to smile at in the break room. On paper, that sounds like I already have the freedom that people are chasing when they retire. And in some ways, that's true. I do have a lot of freedom. Nobody tells me when I can take a day off. Nobody makes me ask permission. But here's what nobody tells you about working for yourself. Freedom from asking permission is not the same thing as freedom from having responsibilities. Every single day I don't work is a day that my business doesn't move forward. Clients don't get taken care of. The phone doesn't get answered. Money doesn't come in the same way it would if I was here working in my office. Yes, I can plan a lot of that out, and I do, and it works, but not at an optimal level like when I'm here in the office working. And then there's playing catch up when I get back to the office. That seems to be even worse when you're self-employed because you've got even more tasks to do and you have to keep answering those phones and answering those emails and taking care of those clients on the fly as it happens right now. So even though I never have to ask anyone if I can take time off, I still have to ask myself something even harder. What is it going to cost me and my businesses if I take this time off? That question runs in the back of my head more than I would really like to admit. It's quieter than a boss looking over your shoulder, folks, and it is even more constant than that boss looking over your shoulder. I am the boss looking over my own shoulder all the time. Now, a few weeks ago, I took a week off just to spend some time with my wife. No work, no clients, just us. Did a little bit of traveling. We did go see some family and friends and stuff, but it was really more relaxing time. And it was great, but I noticed something while I was sitting there enjoying all of it. Part of my brain was still running the numbers. It never shuts off. It keeps planning. What are you going to do when you get back? How far behind are you going to be? Who do you need to call? Who do you need to email? What did you forget to do? Now, I don't regret taking that time off for a second, but I also know that feeling doesn't fully go away until the business itself isn't the thing that's paying the bills anymore. And that's the part of retirement that really changes for me. Not the permission, but the math, the calculations, the wondering how everything's going to come out and what the bottom line is going to look like at the end of the month. Now, there's a video I watched recently from a guy a few years into retirement, and he made a point that stuck with me. He said the biggest gift of retirement wasn't the golf or the travel or the drinks. It was not having to spend his time around people he didn't actually like. And I had to sit down and I had to think about that one for a minute because my version of that, well, it's a little different. I don't have coworkers in the traditional sense. I don't sit in an office trading fake smiles with people that I would never normally choose to be around. But I do have clients, I do have colleagues that I work with here and there. And some of them I get to choose and some of them I don't. Now, I guess with the clients, I can decide I'm not going to take this client on. And the same thing with colleagues. But to some level, I do have to take a lot of them on, regardless of a lot of differences in opinion. So because I'm the one who decides who I work with, a lot of those relationships are already ones that I choose, but not entirely. And that's one advantage of doing it alone. That's one advantage of being self-employed. I have been able to start to filter out a lot of the bad clients, a lot of the bad colleagues, a lot of the bad work friends, if you will, before I get into retirement. But if it's not people that I need to filter out when I retire, what do I need to filter out? And really, honestly, it's the obligation to the job, the obligation to the businesses that I have. Even a good client relationship comes with strings attached, a response you owe, a deadline you're accountable to, a slight tug in the back of your mind all the time, even on your days off. Are you taking care of the clients? What did you do wrong? What did you forget? And what are they thinking about you while you're not answering your phone? Retirement doesn't hand me a bunch of new relationships to walk away from either. It cuts the last of those threads. What's left after that is just the people that I have chosen to spend time with anyway, minus the invoices attached to it. Now, there's something else I started thinking about a lot too, and that is the difference between loneliness and solitude. And I think a lot of people mix these two things up. Loneliness comes when you're isolated and it hurts, but solitude, that is choosing quiet, choosing to be alone on purpose because you value that. Now, working alone for as many years as I have, it's already taught me a version of solitude. I'm used to long stretches without anyone else in the room. In fact, I like it more than I expected to. The difference is right now, that quiet always has a deadline attached to it somewhere in the back of my mind. In retirement, the quiet is just quiet, nothing owed at the end of it. That's one thing that I'm really, really looking forward to. Now, I know I keep coming back to that math that I mentioned earlier. Right now, almost every decision about me, every decision about the time that I use to do anything runs through some version of what does this cost me or what does this gain me. A week off costs me momentum and it costs me money. And catching back up, well, there is a big problem there that's going to even further hurt that momentum and the money. And a slow afternoon in the office costs me a little bit of income too, but then I also gain some time to work on other projects. But being self-employed, even rest time gets measured against what I'm doing and what I am not doing instead of just rest. That in and of itself is exhausting, folks, in a way that's easy for me to not even notice anymore because I've been doing it for so many years, decades even, and it just feels normal now. But when I retire in a couple of years, those calculations, those thoughts, those pressures go away, not because I'll have more money than I know what to do with. They'll go away because the business won't be the thing standing between me and a Tuesday or a Wednesday afternoon anymore. I'll be able to look at a day and ask a much simpler question. Not what does this cost me? Not what am I going to get done or not get done? I will be able to just look at every day as how do I want to spend this day today. Now, don't get me wrong. When I retire, I am not going to stop doing everything. I am not going to just sit around and do nothing. I do still plan to work even into retirement, and it will most likely be in one of my own businesses, probably doing videos just like this, doing things I truly, truly do enjoy. When I picture retirement, I am not picturing a cruise ship or a golf cart or a margarita on the beach. I'm picturing an ordinary day where I don't have to run the math first to see if I can do it. I'll be picturing days where I could take a week off and go spend time with my wife wherever we want to go, and there is no cost to it. There is no deadline looming over me. That's the real thing I'm looking forward to when I do retire. Not freedom from people. I mostly already have that because I get to choose who I work with. Now, if any part of this sounds familiar to you, let me know in the comments down below. I would really love to hear it. And if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.